Allahu Akbar.
Islam, I rise giving all praise to Allah, the highest of honors, the host of my prophet, Noble Dura Ali. Islam was?
Islam.
We are at Temple 19 tonight, located here in Atlanta, Georgia. And in our midst, we have none other than our brother, Sheik James Barnes-Bey, and Sister Barnes-Bey. Praise Allah.
Islam.
Right? We are blessed and honored at our temple for having them in our presence. And while we have our elders in our presence, we like to sit at their feet and ask them questions about the movement. Islam was?
Islam.
Because we don't want to, recreate certain mistakes that were made in the past, right? So we want to ask our elders various different questions about our prophet, how he moved, what they think is the direction we need to go in the future. Islam was?
Islam.
All right? I know y'all like to act shy, so I'll start off. Islam, Sheik Barnes-Bey?
Islam,
More, I'd like to know more, what do you think led up to the split after the first convention?
Well, according to the Moorish literature pamphlet, you have noticed that in a lot of the letters to the prophet, he addressed it to sheiks, the grand governors, right? The heads, not the members, because it was the heads that was thinking that they was above the prophet. If you look at all your literature, your Moorish literature pamphlet, and you read the letters, who he start out with? Sheiks, grand sheiks, governors.
That's right.
Right? He ain't really saying nothing about the members because it was the heads that was causing the problem.
That's not.
If you begin to see and study the history, you begin to find out that Barnes-Bey stole money from the prophet. And they embezzled money. At Barnes-Bey he was at temple number 4, and he had the biggest membership. So instead of the money going to the home office, they was deviating the money and stealing it.
That's not.
So it was the heads or those that are in charge that held the responsibility for the movement splitting up. The same way it is today. Right? It's not the members, it's us leaders. Because the members ain't gonna do no more than the leaders that's leading them. Like I said, we had a meeting with the Moors in Baltimore. It's about 9 temples in Baltimore. Right? Out of the 9 temples, 5 of them speak to each other. The other 4 don't speak to each other. Right? But we all start out as one. But everybody wants to be a Grand Sheik. I've been a Grand Sheik several times. I'll tell you, that's work. You got to stay up at night to get your lessons. Because your members are following you. Now the position I hold now, I try to get out of it with the Supreme Grand Security Advisor of the Moorish Temple in Baltimore and to conventions, right? But by me knowing some military things and took up martial arts, right? They felt that I was best for it. I took it because I'm obligated. See, because like the Moors say, we have to have security. A thing is no more valuable than the protection you put on it. If you don't put no protection on it, it ain't no good to you. So to answer your question, it was the leaders that caused the split. Kirkman Bey, John Gibbons Ill, right? Because they didn't want to follow Brother Measy Ill. And if you study the history of it, you see the way they went to court. Right? But Brother Measy Ill was sick, and they won by default. That's when Brother Kirkman Bey come out with the 1934 book. Islam.
What inspired you to write the Muqarabeen?
Well, we was in the Maryland Plantation. Right. I had 35 years. Brother Evans Hill had 30. We were cellmates. At that time, I was under Dr. R. Jeremy Bey. He was under Brother R. Love Hill. But we cell buddies, right? And we start going back and forth with the records. So he said, let me write some of this down. He was the writer, I was the typist. I'm the typist. So as time went on, we decided that we're gonna write a book. And that's when we started doing a lot of research. At that time, we weren't making what, $24 a month. But we would send out what we could every month to get newspaper articles, to get court papers. And like I said, it took us from middle of 81 to 2000. Muqarabeen.
Wow.
And this is another thing, right? To show you how naive some people is. We was in Chicago, visiting the temple. I'm not gonna go all to that. Visiting the temple, right? And it was during convention time. So they passed out pamphlets. They want everybody to do little pamphlets. So we read through the pamphlets, right? And I asked the brother, I said, where y'all get this from? He said, oh, we got more to put it together. I said, yeah, but you gonna give me a test out my own book? Right? And I'm saying that because more don't know who's who. This is one of the things that we have to prove to show who's who in the movement. We're working on something now, right? So that everybody, you know, we're not gonna get caught up in the split and divide. We talk about now today, right? To see, let Moors know who's really trying. I mean, I ain't gonna tell you, look at this person, look at that person. We gonna put their position, what temple they in, you know, let you know who they is.
That's right.
Because, like you say, if you go to Baltimore, you want to know what temple to go to that's teaching what you supposed to be teaching.
That's right.
If you go to Chicago, you want to be the same way. Now, I didn't went to Chicago, and I seen more doing what I'm doing. I seen more doing other things, right? But right now, we have to know who's who. That's why I say your character, your values, your principles, you know, all that dictate the true moral.
That's right.
And that's how we have to be.
My question was more to the prophet and his generating or being a, we'll call it a fisher of men. How do you feel he was able to generate or gather so many large carrying of people to move with him in various manners? Specifically, I'm referring to like business manners or things of that nature. What part of him was it his aura? Was it like the way he spoke? Or I mean, I know all of those things had to play some type of
You know, from reading, right? I can't say personally because I wasn't there,
right.
but from reading and researching, right? First, we have to understand that the prophet was a divine person.
Definitely.
He had a mission, right? And his mission was to come out. Our people today are hungry for truth. They are hungry for anything that we can get them that's positive, that could really take them off that street. The prophet came and began to realize, like the Lord said, we had to be economically secure. If you read the record, you see that we had catering services, we had warehouses, we had furnaces, we had barbershops, we had all that during the time of prophet. Even now, and they got farms in Prince Anne's, in Kansas, that more get older that's living on. All that was the prophets, right? It's a case that's running that they're trying to get millions of dollars that belongs to the movement that Moors took. It's in court, right? Because the Moors saying that's their money. See, and this is one of the reasons that when you come into Moor Science to America, you set up a business. The business ain't yours. The business belongs to the temple. And a lot of them wasn't doing that. So when they left with their business. Even though the prophet put the money up to find them, you know, to help them out. So we look at now, like, right, Mo got a business. It ain't hard for him to draw people in and begin to explain the principles of running the business. Because a lot of people hungry. Would you like to have your own business? Have you ever asked Mo how he set his business up?
Not,
you right here
not
with us.
Specifically.
Don't be afraid. Ask him. You know, well, what you think? I got this idea. I'm trying to do this here, right? How you think I should go about it? He's a businessman. He knows maybe I'm just saying, right? More how to run a business because he's running it. You trying to get into business. Now remember, business is run the same way. It may be different things that you provided, but it's a business. He knows the business. So if you're trying to start something, you go to him. This boy might know how to do math. You get with him. You know anything about how to do taxes. You know, should I get a 501c? What's that? That's a corporation, non-profit. Don't have to pay no tax. But what kind of services you gonna provide? I mean, we had at one time, we had all the Major League Baseball teams donated. Right? and we in prison. They was donating so much the warden called us so we can't do it no more.
Wow.
You know? But I'm just saying, once the organization knows that you are doing something to help the people out, you'd be amazed what they donate.
Brother Khalid Mujahid Bey, and I just want to say it's an honor, brother, to meet you. I read your book. I didn't know this whole time you was one of the authors. Like you said, it'd be crazy who you meet, so you always got to wear your fez even when you don't have your fez on. I just want to say it's an honor to meet you and your mother bodies, and you know, you my elder, you know, and so I stand on your shoulders, brother. You know, I love you for your strength and your courage and the truth that you stand on. And just keep doing the work, brother, because you're a real beacon of light in our society.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Praise God.
Praise God.
As we put the book out there and the book can attest to it, right? We don't believe in holding secrets. Anything you read out, we gonna put it on the table. We gonna give you a reference where you can go and check it out. I didn't come down here and get it more books and more. Take that. Take that. Last time we was down here, we had 5 or 6 different books just gave. See, because I want more to know. Don't take everything for face value. I've been tricked in my life. That's why I think that I study so hard. Because I want to never be tricked again. Now I was in the Maryland House of Correction during the 70s. And the Moors used to say, we're Canaanites. We going there and get some Canaanite. Now at that time, you know, I'm trying to be down with the Moors, right? So before we go to the temple, we in the bathroom in the dormitory smoking weed. They call it Canaanite weed. Now I didn't know, because I'm just coming in. Right? I'm naive, right? But as I begin to learn, I said, hold it. Prophet said you can't go in there with no intoxicating influences, right? But I'm saying that to say that, you know, you have to be real careful when you go in temples. Because like I say, if you don't know the law, you're going to get tricked. And this is one of the reasons that me and Brother Edward made a promise to each other, right? All the research we do, we put it on the table. And then, you know, the books, you know, what we sell the books for is really nothing compared to publishing them. 300 and some pages. Might cost you $35, $40. I mean, you got history. You got lessons that were developed over the last 20, 30 years. That's right there for you. Just like the book I was showing you tonight.
Yes, sir.
You know? That's our new publication that we got. One book with everything in it. Ceremony, marital obligations and everything, right? We just started putting these out. I mean, y'all can glance through it as I sit here and talk, right? Our books had our yeah, but we got the 101s, we got the Moorish literature pamphlet, all the prophets' literature we got in this book along with lessons. All right? Y'all can glance at it, I can't find it, but y'all can pass around and glance at it, right? Because we thought, like I said, a lot of times we go to grab our literature, might have left this part in the bathroom, might have left this part in the bedroom.
Yes,
so we say, we're gonna put it all in one book. The lessons in that book is over 40-year lessons in this book, right? Right? Lessons that you can check out. You know, like I say, what we giving you, you can always research it. Because we research it, and anybody know anything about law called shepherdizing. Y'all familiar with that?
No, sir.
Okay, shepherdizing is this, right? Say a case in court, and the case was won, right? But years later it was on appeal. So now you go and get all your sightings of that case to see how it came up on appeal. It's called shepherdizing. You got two or three different courts that made decisions. Now you get the core of what, you know, they would decide to appeal the case for. It's the same way with history. That's how we learned that, because we were trying to get out of prison. But it's just like history. When you look at the Bible and you ask yourself, was Samson a real person? You ever thought of that? You ever asked yourself that? Was Samson a real person? Now how can you check to see if Samson was a real person? History. History, right? Now if you check and you can't find a physical Samson doing that, then he's a myth. It's allegorical. He's a sign or a symbol to convey a certain message. Okay? Alright? I mean that's how you cross check it. You know? And as you studied about, because we knew that we had to read about the Mormon Bible, the Jewish Bible, the Quran, right? Those was our lessons that we had to read while we was in the temple, right? And I mean, you know, you had time to do it. So this is what we call cross-checking, right? That's how you study. You find something here that say the Chicago defenders say in 1927 the Moore Science Temple of America killed this police. And now you want to get another paper to say that or to see what it said, right? Then you want to see if it's in the history because everything is recorded. You check our newspapers out. Chicago is a wealth of information. Islam.
Once again, Brother Barnes-Bey, thank you and your wife for taking time to share with us your journey. I have two questions. The first question is, if you could briefly, I know you touched on it while you was answering the other question, if you can briefly, and as much as you can, reveal how were you introduced to the Prophet in the Moore Science Temple of America? And the question I have for Sister Barnes-Bey is, when you met our brother, was he a member of the temple? If he wasn't, when he became a member, did you see a change? What changes did you see? And if you did meet him while he was in the temple, how can I say it without being politically correct?
Just say it. Let's say it.
What was it that said, okay, this is the brother that I want to be with? That made any sense?
That was a loaded question.
Well, and the reason that I asked that is because, you know, just to give a testimony to you, you know, we talk about it all the time when we're introduced to the Prophet, you know, our walk changes, our thought changes. And, you know, sometimes we are introduced, we are in a relationship with a sister and they see us through the process. And, you know, we may have to go away for a while and, you know, and learn the Prophet and come back and be more presentable to her. And then sometimes we meet when we're already introduced to the Prophet. So how did that affect the sister? And, you know, what is it about him that drew you to him? If that made any sense.
When I met him, he was in the temple already.
Praise Allah.
He was in the temple already. And I was a Christian. I'm still a Christian.
Praise Allah.
But his knowledge helps me in my growing. Okay. He knows more about my Bible than I do. And he helps me in teaching. I do discipleship classes in the Christian background. It's basically the same way that you all have meetings. They have like a class and they teach discipleship. And we bring other people into the ministry through discipleship. So I had to learn. I had to read Quran, the Torah, all of those other books, and like he said, the cross-reference. He helped me cross-reference all of that information. And so I mess with him all the time. I tell him he's a Christian, but he don't say he's a Christian Muslim. But yeah, you know, when I met him, he was already in. Well, I guess what brought me to him was, well, really, to tell the truth, I was a officer in the prison where he was. Okay, and out of all of the people in there, when I first met him, I didn't know he was a prisoner.
There you go.
Because he didn't portray himself as a prisoner, and when I found out that he was a prison inmate, my mouth was dropped open. You know, and I'm going, oh my God. Because I asked him, well, you know, you come out, I said, when you going to lunch? Can you go to lunch with me? So he said, no, I can't go to lunch, I'm a prisoner. And I went, you know, and after I left, after he left, I never even thought about him anymore. And then one day I met him at a grocery store. And he, you know, he asked me, how do you cook a steak?
Let me write that down.
You're an adult, you don't know how to cook a steak, you know? And that's how we met. And I didn't even remember him as a prisoner.
Okay.
But like I said, you know, we've just been together since then.
Beautiful.
Let me say this, that when she stuck came there, you know, I had learned to do fingerprints, read fingerprints, take fingerprints, right, in the penitentiary. Like I say, at that time, if you knew how to type, you got the best job, right? So I wound up working in what they call the ID office, right? When prisoners come in, I would take their pictures, fingerprints, and read them, you know, all that, identify the prints and all that. And then they started letting me do the employees. So when the employees come in, I would take the picture, fingerprint them, read the fingerprints, see if they are legible. Then I would classify them. That's probably why she thought that I was an employee, right? You know, but that's one of the things that we as Moors always try to achieve in prison. You know, to stand out from anybody else. You know, we would wear kufis at that time because, you know, you could only wear your fez then on Friday. And most of the Moors, they was either teaching school, right? Or they was in a job, really, that they was able to interact with other people and gave administration a different concept of how to treat us. You know? And what was your question to me?
My question to you was briefly, how were you introduced to the Prophet? How did you come into the Moorish Science Temple of America?
It was 1973, right? I had just come off out on bail, put it that way.
Okay.
Out on bail. Because as I told y'all one time, right, I ran half of Baltimore drug market. In the movie The Wild, right, you could basically say Avon was me at that time. Right? It was ill would have been Weebay. Okay? That's how that actually went. Her cousin is married to, what his name? The one that got locked up at the end. The young brother. Marlo.
Oh.
Her cousin is married to Marlo. Right? Sister-in-law, okay, married to Marlo.
Okay.
But getting to this here, in 1973, I came home, I was broke. Brother that became my mentor, Brother J. Ray Bay, was sticking up. I had a car. So me and him talking, so we go and take some money. Now we ain't robbing no drug dealers, we robbing banks. Right? So we started robbing banks and it was getting so good, I thought I was Jesse James. You get that mentality, you do, right? We get knocked off, right? Go to prison. That's how I started. And at that time, I started to get out the cell. I said, well, you know, if you go to more science, you can get out the cell. I put my name on the list.
It's hard.
Right? And I was going and just, you know, it just hit me. I said, hold up. Matter of fact, next time I come home, I'll bring you a picture from 1974.
Oh, it's not good.
Right? Where I got the turban on. At that time, they was on Timothy Dingle Hill. Got the turban on, got the white outfit on, and the tie. That's how you had to go once you joined.
Okay.
Next time I come back, but I'll send it to you tonight. I'm gonna take a picture, send it to you.
It's not.
But that's how I got into it. Well, I got into it just trying to get out my cell.
Islam.
Because at that time, you stayed 23-1. Right?
Okay.
Come out 1 hour. And you were locked up for 23 hours until you get up what they call diagnostic. Some place they call it quarantine.
Right.
And that was my way to get out that cell, because at that time, I couldn't handle 23 hours in that cell. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the more that I went, the more that I began to see things differently. Right? And that was in 1974. And I've been in it ever since.
Thank you. Praise Allah.
Yes, sir.
Question. So how many years have you two been married?
Since 84.
What's the secret? Speaking as a man who was just obligated last year, you know, we try to figure out what the formula is.
Well, you know, I believe that doing all you can do, being truthful, right? That shows respect. There's no I win, you lose. It's compromise, right? And you know, as a man, some things you ain't gonna want to tell. You know, but we had to break the barrier. You know what I'm saying? Because my wife, she was saying, you think you know everything. I know what you're doing. I was like, what? You know what I'm saying? And then she'll say it, but you know, still me. That ain't right. But you know, you got to come clean, basically, right? You have to care for one another, right? And one thing I can say, right? Don't let money come between you. Don't let money, because money has a tendency to do that. Now I'm gonna give you an example. 2 weeks ago, well, in my garage, I got a pool table, in my little office, with my thing set up, right? Because a couple guys come over, we shoot pool. Right? Now I'm in there, I'm on my phone, I'm looking on the website, looking at cars. So every time she come up, put the phone down, right? So one day I'm in there, I'm just looking, she walks over and see, looking at car, she gonna buy a car? I said, no, I got the Jaguar, then why am I buy another car? But my mind, right? So I finally broke down. So we go to the car lot. I go straight to the car lot. What kind of car lights we got? Go. I go to the Cadillac. You know what she tell the salesman? My husband like Cadillac, go get the keys. There it is, that white one right out there. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Nice camera right there.
You know, but you know, it's just, you know, having your own dreams that you want to fulfill, right? You know, and like I say, setting goals. That was my goal. That was my birthday present. Remember I was telling you about it? That's my birthday present, right? Nice. Then she gonna get on me because I got a Jaguar in the garage. You know what I'm saying? You know? You know? But that's gonna be our car that we go out with. Another car gonna be my everyday car.
Do you think that the Chicago Defender has some audio on the Prophet or maybe some other footage that they not releasing to us? Because I do know they have some footage on Marcus Garvey. You can hear some things with him demonstrating. So I know if they got that, they had to have some of the Prophet. He was in tune with the Defender when he did a lot of things.
Well, we tried to get audio. As far as we could get, we got interviews with the Cook brothers. I believe that's what y'all seen, right? And they did have one on the brother Ira Jackson Bey, but that's a transcript from his court trial.
Oh, okay.
Because you know he wound up getting life.
That's
Right. We haven't been able to get any audio on the Prophet, and believe me, we've been trying. All we've been able to get is articles from the various newspapers, like the minutes you got, you know, from the first convention. Right, and it goes through that. That's how we get piece by piece that we put it together.
It's an honor to meet you, brother. One of the questions I wanted to ask was that, because I come from the family, my grandfather was son of the family, came under the green carpet of the Prophet. Today, what we see today, as far as the movement of the government, what is holding the Moore Sons Temple back? Because other nationalities of people are moving ahead of us at a rapid speed. And at this day in present time, we should be further than where we are. What can be done to rectify this situation so it can be rectified so that we can move forward from this day?
One thing I think that we as Moors have to show that we're not none of the part of the other Moors first. We have to saturate the streets. We got to go on the street. See? Because our people in the street, they don't believe that Moor science is real. We have to show them that it's real. See? What's the brother name? The game, he in blood, but he in Moor science. Ice Cube is in Islam. See? But they ain't coming out because what? They don't want to get shoved under the bus. Because we as Moors ain't really doing it. The brother Nipsey Hussle, he was getting ready to join the Nation of Islam. That's why Farrakhan was there. They had been in communication. He had seen that Islam, no matter Nation of Islam, he had seen that Islam was his way. And it was pointing them in a positive direction. So we as Moors got to start getting out there so our people can see us. And we got to bring the younger generation in. Because the older generation, they get old, they getting tired, some of them get so tired they just stop going to temples. Right? In Baltimore, they had one time that boys would put their faces in the pocketbook, their wife's pocketbook, because they were getting shot at. You know, I mean, all was in Baltimore City. But
I'm sorry.
Yes.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
When we look at titles in which leadership, is it hindering us or is it helping us?
Well, let me say this here, right? It depends on the person, right? Right now, I hold security of Temple 13, right? Governor, security advisor, and then lately I've been elected to be the Supreme Grand Security Advisor of the temple. Now, me personally, I would like to be that brother right there at the door with no title. See, when you begin to realize that the title is a title, the only title that I want and the only title that I work for so hard is to be a faithful member. That's all. You know, because titles can blow people's head up. Well, you know, I'm the Grand Sheik. What I say, go. No. Grand Sheik got one vote, like all other Sheiks got one vote. Now, we elected to put him as the Grand Sheik. But that don't make his word be unilateral. Because it falls on what? 7 or more Sheiks. Got to know the law. See? I think that titles do hold people up. Right? Because they get big-headed with the title. You know? And when they get big-headed, they think they own something. You know? And I think that sometimes it's not good for some brothers to have titles. Some brothers don't deserve titles. Because if I'm the governor, and I don't act like a governor, I'm just walking around with my chest stuck out, you don't care nothing about me. You make the title. The title don't make you. And that's what more got to realize. You know? The brother that stand at the door, soul is more precious than the Grand Sheiks. See? That's how titles work. Because if that brother is faithful and that brother is faithful, Grand Sheik is just another office. Faithful becomes one over all titles. You got to be faithful. And that's the only title I work for. Islam.
Well, praise Allah. We don't want to burn our elders. I think we got a blessing tonight.
Yes.
Got a mouthful, got a demonstration, and a closed smaller session. So thank you for, you know, Sheik, Barnes-Bey, Sister Barnes-Bey. Thank you very much for your time and your sacrifice, and even thinking to come by here to Temple 19. Praise Allah.
You know I call you, let you know.
Praise Allah. I got to thank you on camera though. But you know, and with that, we say peace. Islam more.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Hayya ala salah. Allah